Okay, it's recording. Here we go.
Cool.
So, hi, I am the Trap Witch. I am here with my love, the Self-Love Witch, aka Shannon Major. She's reporting live from across the pond in UK. And she is a client of mine, but also a fellow practitioner. She does a lot with self-love, and today we are going to be doing an emotional clearing. And it's funny because we were about to do this live on Instagram, and I just think the energy of us and the collective and retrograde and all of these things were just way too much. It stopped at 111, so we decided to put it here on YouTube so that we could get through it without interruptions for you guys. And so we're going to be letting you know now what it is exactly and what kind of clearing and meditation we're going to be getting into. Shannon, background and,
Cool. Hello guys, so yeah, I'm Shannon, the Self-Love Witch, and today I'm going to be showing you and guiding you to clear emotions around self-love, trust and letting go. So the emotional clearing method we're going to be using was originally created by a man called Dane Thomas, and you can find out everything that I'm going to go through with you in the book Clear Your Shit. I got this on Amazon. It's about $20. So yeah, if you want to learn more or you want to start clearing with yourself, then definitely invest in that book, or if you just want to understand more about this modality. So the reason we emotionally clear is to remove trapped energies that prevent us from stepping into our power and really just leveling up. So ascending past the past, basically. So we can struggle to embody self-love, trust, letting go, if we're holding on to old emotions in our body that reside on the frequency of fear and unworthiness, as opposed to trust and self-love, which is what we want to be stepping into. So often, if you're someone that uses affirmations and intentions a lot and you find that you're still quite stagnated, then it's usually because you're only working with a mental level, which is the affirmations, when really what you need to be doing is working on an emotional level. So if there's a lot of old emotions that are residing in the body, regardless of how much you mentally tell yourself, I want to love myself, I want to trust, it can be quite impossible if you've got emotions within you telling you otherwise. So it's really important that we work on all levels. So we're going to clear through releasing emotions in the body from the meridian points. So the meridian points are energy channels that run through the body, and each meridian connects to an internal organ. So the emotions we want to clear will reside in a specific organ. And we clear by rubbing the meridians using a method called kinesiology. So I'm going to, sorry, I've said that wrong. We clear by rubbing the meridian that corresponds to the organ that holds the emotion that we're working with, so the emotion that we want to clear. And I'm going to test into the emotions using a method called kinesiology. I think I said that right. I'm going to use my fingers to muscle test, which will signify what needs to be cleared. So muscle testing enables us to access the unconscious within the body. So we're working on a subconscious level, and that's how we get our answers. So I'll explain it briefly, but if you want to know more, it's better to look into this yourself. So a lock means we're okay, we don't need to clear. When we get an unlock, it means that we're not okay and that there's something to be cleared. So it's really important that I ask for consent and that you consciously consent to this healing. I will be pulling the emotions of the collective who are watching this, even if you're watching and it was in the past. So I'll be muscle testing the emotions and clearing on behalf of everyone. So if you want to receive that, then please call in the intention to receive the healing. If you just want to watch this and you don't want to receive, then please energetically close yourself off from receiving. So before we start, I just want to take a few deep breaths with our eyes closed. So just taking a deep breath in through the nose, slowly out through the mouth, and again in through the nose, and slowly out through the mouth. And again in through the nose, and out through the mouth. And one more time in through the nose, and out through the mouth. So opening our eyes and coming back into the space. So I'd like everyone now to internally or out loud repeat the statement, I am okay with loving myself. Okay, so what came through was that there's a low self-esteem around loving ourselves. So there's an element of unworthiness. So if everyone could just take a few moments and connect to what that might mean for them. And just allow yourself to sink into that feeling. Okay, so the meridian point that connects to the emotion low self-esteem can be found, it's just above the hip area and it's here. So this is the place that we need to rub when we release. So just like this. So how we're going to release is we're just going to close our eyes, take a deep breath in, and calling in the intention to release low self-esteem. And on the out breath, we're going to release. So deep breath in. And again, keep rubbing that area, taking a deep breath in. And one more time, taking a deep breath in, calling in the intention to release low self-esteem, and releasing. So we have to do both sides of the statement. So we have to be okay with not loving ourselves, because otherwise we will always have an emotional attachment to loving ourselves. So there will be times when we might not love ourselves, but we need to be able to be okay with that and be present with it, rather than anchoring an emotional attachment to, when I don't love myself, I feel shameful and guilty, for example. So we're clearing the whole attachment around the concept of loving ourselves. So again, internally or out loud, repeating the statement, I am okay with not loving myself.
And I'll say it for the collective. I am okay with not loving myself.
Okay, so I've got a break. So we're not okay with not loving ourselves. Okay, so again, what's come through is a low self-esteem. So we feel unworthy about the idea of loving ourselves, and when we don't love ourselves, we feel unworthy. And I think what comes through for me there is so much talk around self-love, love yourself, that when we're not doing it, that makes us feel shit. Not even because we're just not loving ourselves, but because we feel that we're unable to. So again, the meridian point for low self-esteem, just to remind you, is just here, just above the hip area. So I'm wearing high-waisted shorts, so it might be hard to see, but it's just here. So this is the point that we're going to rub. Okay, so again, while rubbing that space, calling in the intention to release the low self-esteem, taking a deep breath in through the nose, and on the out breath, we're going to release. And again. Okay, so I'm just going to check that that's clear now. We're clear. Okay, so the next statement that we're going to clear is I'm okay with trusting. So again, internally or out loud, and you can repeat this, I'm okay with trusting. And what I mean by that is trusting ourselves, trusting in the process, trusting that things are going to unfold as they should for the highest good, rather than fearing the unknown.
I am okay with trusting.
Okay, so I've got a break on that. So collectively, we're not okay with trusting. And the emotion behind that is okay. So there's fear around trusting. So the reason we find it hard to trust is because there's fear that blocks that, which I think is quite self-explanatory, probably shows up in different ways for each of us. So the meridian point for fear is in the kidney meridian, which is just here. So again, while rubbing this point, closing our eyes, calling in the intention to release the fear that stops us from being okay with trusting, taking a deep breath in and releasing. Okay, so as I said before, we want to clear the emotional attachment around trust. So we're also going to clear the statement, I'm okay with not trusting. So again, just repeating that statement, I'm okay with not trusting.
I am okay with not trusting.
Okay, so break. So we're not okay with not trusting. So the emotion behind that is okay. So what's come through there is there's an anxiety around not trusting. So when we feel like we can't trust, we feel anxious, which again, I think is quite self-explanatory. That might mean something in particular for you. So again, we're working with the kidney meridian just here. So as before, calling in the intention to release the anxiety from not being okay with not trusting. Taking a deep breath in. So I'm just going to check if we're clear. And we're clear. So the last statement that we're going to work with is, I'm okay with letting go. And what I mean by that is letting go of the past, letting go of baggage, letting go of anything that stands in our way of being the person that we want to be, leveling up, doing things in a new way, letting go of what we need to release. And a lot of us, we don't realise how resistant we are to really letting go. And I think with letting go as well, it's to do with grief. If we haven't grieved, or if we're still holding on to grief, then we really can't let go of the past. So, as before, repeating the statement, I'm okay with letting go.
I am okay with letting go.
Okay, so I've got an unlock there. I'm not okay with letting go. And the emotion there is okay. So again, what's coming through is that there's an anxiety around to letting go. And that can be because we're so used to holding on to things that when we let go, sometimes we can feel guilty for letting go. We feel that we should be holding on to things because if we're holding on, then we're forgetting about it. When actually it's not about forgetting, it's about releasing the attachment to the past so we can move forward. So again, we're working with the kidney meridians just here. So closing your eyes, taking a deep breath in. Okay, so now the next statement we're going to be doing is, I'm okay with not letting go. So we're clearing the whole attachment around letting go.
I am okay with not letting go.
Okay, so an unlock there. Okay, so what's come through there is that there's a disgust around not letting go. And again, a similar thing comes through as before with the self-love. There is so much concept and material around, we need to let go of our past, we need to be present, that again, it's like when we're not doing that, we then form an emotional attachment to not being able to do those things. That might mean something different for you. And even if we don't quite understand what that means, it still means that it can be cleared. We don't always necessarily understand the depths of what that might mean. As long as we're calling in the intention to release it, then it's fine. And sometimes it comes through at a later point as well, especially when we have let go, it kind of falls into place. So the meridian point we want to work with is the stomach area, which is just here, as we did before. So closing our eyes, calling in the intention to release the disgust around not letting go. Okay. So I'm just going to check if that's clear. Okay, and we're clear. So when we clear emotions, it changes our perception, but the brain and nervous system has to catch up. So it's normal to feel a bit tender, as we've just let something go, and we've also made space for something new to be held there instead. So integration is really, really important in order to call in what we want to embody now that the block has cleared. So if we don't integrate, then our consciousness doesn't catch up with the shift. So what I want everyone to do, and you can do this in your own time, but I really recommend doing it today, the day that you've done this exercise with us, to cement the healing. So I want you to answer the questions, and you can journal this. What will change when I love myself? What will change when I trust myself? What will change when I let go of the past? So we're calling in this new vision and this new way of being now that we've cleared. So again, answering what will change when I love myself? What will change when I trust myself? What will change when I let go of the past? And you can write just one sentence for this, or you can just keep going with whatever comes through for you.
I would suggest for them like automatic writing, because when you and I did mine the other day, I just kept writing because after each one, and it was amazing how many things started just coming out immediately. I think I got about 16 lines.
Really? Yeah. And it's taking up that space now for what we've let go of, and actually is putting that vision into place. And even though we know already consciously, of course I want to love myself, of course I want to trust, of course I want to let go, we need to call in the vision for what that actually looks like for us personally, because it means different things for everyone.
So just suggesting to them, saying, I'm able to love because, I'm able to trust because, or I'm not able to love because, or I'm not able to, doing for each one, but mainly for the positive ones.
Yeah, so although we've cleared the emotions around I'm being okay with not loving myself, not trusting, not letting go, although we've cleared that, it's like, it's okay to be in that space. If we're in that space, we're not going to get triggered by it. We're not going to feel, for example, shame or guilt or resentment. We're not going to give ourselves a hard time. We can just be present with it. But really what we want to call in is, when I love myself, what will change when I love myself? What will change when I trust myself? So we're really bringing in that new vision of what that looks like for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So just, and then for them, how often should they do a clearing like this? Just anytime they're feeling?
A statement clear. With statement clears, I'd say as and when it comes up. Like if you're in a space where you're feeling quite uncomfortable or resistant or whatever, yeah, and you can do this with anything. So as we did, I'm okay with receiving love. I've done it before around things to do with sex, things to do with being seen, things to do with feeling worthy. So really you can make it what you like. Yeah, in the book Clear Your Shit, it has a few different statement clears that you can do. And the more that you start working with, the more things you realise that you're not okay with. Or that there are things that you're trying to embody and call in, but actually there's a resistance there because there's still an emotion that's actually stopping you.
It's so amazing how we don't know we have all of these things going on, and you know, I don't think a lot of people realize, because you know, we talk about the meridians, because the Earth has meridians, right? And so if you think about how things are aligned through the meridians, when you think about how, for example, when the earth gets clogged, it reacts. So it's even like, I don't know why I have like the vision of like a volcano, or like the fault lines. When they're getting irritated or when they're getting clogged, they start to implode or they explode. So it's like you either imploding on yourself or exploding, you know, in reactionary to people. So I think that's the thing where, as you said, taking it kind of as you come, when you're feeling those emotions and feeling those triggers, trying to feel the physical reaction to see if it's, you know, the muscle reaction, to make sure that you don't go to imploding or you don't go to exploding.
Yeah, and being okay with not being okay. So like in society we've created these negative ideas around certain emotions. It's not okay to feel like that. You should be feeling like this. So when we get into these spaces, we not only feel shit about the emotion itself, we feel shit about feeling shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as I said before, like particularly in the spiritual community, with all this talk around self-love and being present and letting go, when we can't do that, it's like, well, you know, that was really just the block, was that I couldn't love myself. But actually another block on top of that is the fact that I feel bad that I'm not loving myself. I feel bad that I'm not letting go. I feel bad that I'm angry. I feel bad that I've got grief. So it's really about clearing our attachment to different emotional states. And what I've noticed through clearing is, it's not that I don't ride the waves of emotions or I don't react. It's that there's no attachment to the reaction. I'm not upset that I don't feel perfect or that I don't feel 100% aligned and clear. It is what it is. And I think that's a really powerful thing to put into place, is like being okay with whatever arises, rather than giving ourselves a hard time because we don't feel super positive.
You know, I just, you know, honoring your feelings in every present moment. You know, I talk a lot about, you know, just let the fuck go, just whatever, you know. And that's the truth is, you know, we don't know how many times the same thing are going to come back up, and you continue, just like how we did this exercise, you just continue to work bit by bit to let it go gradually. Or sometimes you don't know, you might have done a clearing, you think you're done and over, but subconsciously you're still holding on to it years later. So just, giving yourself some slack, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen, you know, in the exact moment. Sometimes it may, but just being easy with yourself. I kind of want to pull like a few cards to kind of tie everything together. For some reason, I kind of want to pull like from the romance deck because it's based around love, and we don't have to take it so literal about romance because I think with like life and romance is more about the beauty of life. And so it's whether these are targeted at, with other people or within ourselves, let's see what comes up to kind of clear it all together. So it's like we did love, we did trust, and what was the last one? Letting go.
Yeah.
So let's see what spirit puts onto that. I think I'll pull like this. I'll do what's on the conscious level, what's on the subconscious level, and what we should be moving towards. And then maybe I'll do a complimentary card from another deck just to tie it together and bring it all to a,
Yeah.
let's see. Spirit, we call you in on behalf of the collective, Shannon and I, simultaneously, as we work to help clear out the collective's emotional blockages that might be hindering them from moving forward in love, trust, and letting go. We ask for the spirit guides, ascended masters, Egun ancestors, any positive benevolent energy that wishes to come forth to assist us in helping them gain clarity, do so now. We asked, firstly, what is it that we need to know when it comes to love, trust, and letting go that we need to know on a conscious level? That there. Okay. Let's see on the subconscious level. Okay. And then what do we have to do? Okay, let's see. So on the conscious level, we got make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Right? So look how that ties into receiving love, not receiving love, or trust, letting go or not letting go. Either way, you have to make the effort, right? It's okay, like we were saying, to honor the feelings of feeling like you're ready to receive love or feeling like you're not. But either way, I think regardless in between, whether you are or you're not, you can't stay where you are and expect better going forward. So whether it's a small step, a giant step, there has to be a step, and I think whether it be today, tomorrow, and then I think sometimes people think you always have to give 110%. If you can only give 1% today, give 1% today to your clearing.
Yeah.
20% tomorrow, give 20%. But either way, you're going to have to make the effort to do these emotional clearings because that's what manifests into trauma, which manifests into disease. And then disease is contagious. When we're even talking on the spiritual level, because when you are diseased in the spirit with all of these things that you're holding in, whether it be lack of trust, lack of love, any of these things, it always directly affects all your interactions and attracts more of them, and then it makes you more sick as you go on. So it's almost like the checkups are so necessary all the time for our health. So checking in with your feelings and making that effort to do so. So on the subconscious level, we got religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and your spiritual path. I don't really think necessarily you have to take that so literal. I think that has more to do with divinity. You know, a relationship with the divinity within you and your relationship with your own faith towards your path going forward. So subconsciously, you're going to always ask, how am I connecting to the divinity within me so that I can continue going? And I think a lot of people, it's so funny. Somebody said this the other day on Instagram, and it was so true. They were joking about someone working for the Illuminati and how they said that the biggest way to keep people stagnant is to they put a church on every corner to make people believe God is outside of themselves. So, I think that a lot of times that goes to like a savior syndrome. When we feel these emotional blockages that we can't get over, I think that we really feel like people are going to be our saviors, or things are going to be our saviors to get past them, when realistically sitting with ourselves and having congregating with the divinity within, just like how we did today, is going to help us move forward. And so the third card that we got of, what will we be moving towards once we've figured out, on the conscious level and subconscious, is true love. And true love says this is the romance of a lifetime. And so for, like I said, romance is not necessarily just something between two people. It's the balance within. It's our energies, our masculine, feminine balance within, that we have to keep in tune, especially with our emotions, whether, our feminine emotions of, nurturing, how we nurture ourselves, and even going to the extremes of like our toxic masculinity, because people don't understand, like, women can have toxic masculine energy too, destruction, ego, lying, all of these things are toxic. So I think that definitely those are the things that we should keep in mind when we come to something like this. And I think people, I think this is a great example what you did today too, because I think people can really sit and kind of come up with their own thing as well to kind of tap in. I kind of feel like people could also use pendulums to kind of do the same thing, yes, no answer. Because I know I trust my pendulum more sometimes than I trust myself. So, kind of checking in to see, it's like, okay, am I clear? No. Well, why am I not clear? Just asking yourself questions and sitting with yourself to kind of trust yourself more and how to go forward. So let's see what Goddess card wants to come out to kind of put it all together. Yep. So this is the Goddess card. I pulled Bast. I think that's how you say her name, Bast. Independent. So it says your independence is the foundation for your strength and success. So I think that really ties it all together. You know how it together, because you're sitting with yourself to clear your own shit, and there's a sense of independence. You're declaring your independence, that you can be self-sufficient to everything, and like almost self-diagnose. In order to feel better going forward once you clear all of these things out. So I think I kind of want to do just a little posing meditation to see if you want to throw anything on. So, Spirit, we call you in here today, Shannon and I, and we thank you for allowing us to be channels, mediums, and oracles of Spirit, to allow us to share our messages and to be receptors of Spirit, so that we can help clear the collective of any emotional blockages that they may have going forward. We ask that they learn to love, that they learn to trust, that they learn to let go, and they also accept that it is okay at times to not love, to not trust, and to not let go, that they are spiritual beings going through a human experience, and that this is what it is about. It's about picking up the experience to get back to spirit and to their own divinity. But it takes making the effort to take the strides through the spiritual path. We ask that they are allowed to sit and commune with themselves and gain their independence day by day, and that as long as they can make that effort, that there is a chance for them to always come into true love with themselves and with others. We thank you again for allowing us to share our gifts and to be host for those that may be in need and that might be having a hard time surrendering divinity within themselves. So we ask that going forward, they continue to look to their highest self and to the higher good, actually.
Thank you.
You want to add anything?
I think that's it. Sorry. I'll just say again, the book's Clear Your Shit by Dame Thomas. If you want to find out more about how to use this method, or you want to get more confident with it, I'd advise just practicing muscle testing for a few days or a few weeks, just so you can really get into the hang of trusting what comes up. Because like what we've just cleared, a lot of it is around trust. If we're not trusting ourselves, then we'll get answers and we'll go, oh, I don't get that, or is that right? And then it stops us from just really honing in on what we need to. Because sometimes consciously it doesn't make sense. We don't always know what emotions we're holding or what stories are playing out necessarily. But yeah, it's a lot about trust, and it's all about intention. If you've got the intention to clear and release, then you will.
And so for that, with the muscle testing, and we just want to show them, right? It's left hand, pinky and thumb, pinky to thumb, right?
Yeah, pinky to thumb on the left.
Okay. And then on the right hand, it's
index finger to thumb. And so this is your testing ring, and then this is your lock. So when you ask any questions, so for example, like we did today, I'm okay with loving myself. If we're clear, then it's going to lock. If we're not clear, it's going to break. So if you want to start using that, it's good to just ask questions that you know the answer to. So for example, I could say, my name is Shannon, because my name's Shannon. My wall is white. My wall's white. Say, my wall's orange. I've got a break because it's not orange. So asking questions that you know are true or false will help you kind of just into the hang of doing the muscle testing. So it's good to practice.
Yay. And yeah, I think too, like I said, I love that theory, and I think too, if people, even, you know, with muscle testing, if they're not confident with that, even starting off with a pendulum sometimes can help.
Yeah.
It's more of a, you know, if they're not sure if they can trust themselves with the break.
Yeah.
You know, I know sometimes too, even getting the pendulum with a piece of paper and writing yes and no on either side, and allowing the pendulum to go which side it needs to go to, so that you're not, you know, looking for the answer yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, well, I want to thank you so much, and I hope everybody enjoyed the meditation. And if you have any questions for Shannon, you can hit her up on Instagram, the Self Love Witch, TheSelfLovewitch, and she does a plethora of services. And so you can hit her up for those, because I trust her across the pond, you know, and any of my YouTube following, you know, can hit her up in person, right? You know, do you do in person things as well?
Yeah, I face-to-face sessions within London, and then yeah, online as well.
Okay.
So I do sessions one-to-one. Yeah, life coaching,
Yay.
inner therapy. But yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to send me a message.
Okay, love. Well, as this connection is starting to glitch again, see, it's like the energy's like, oh, y'all were doing great. Now it's starting to glitch a little bit.
At least we got through it.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? Trust your intuition next time. I was like, you can never trust that Instagram live. You really can't.
No.
Especially when you do powerful healing. That's not the first time I've experienced that on there.
Yeah, at that time as well. At that point.
At 111, it glitched out, so that was a sign. We were opening some gateways. So, well, at least now we can have this up on the YouTube, and everybody can watch it whenever they need it.
Yeah, it was definitely divine intervention.
That's what I believe too. So I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So I'm gonna turn it off. Bye, y'all.